Myq, I'm Todd, man. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
Hello, thank you.
I know that my friend Chris here, he saw you. I've seen your stuff too. You were hilarious. I appreciate you coming on this podcast so much. You're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. And I'm excited that you're here. His latest album, AKA, which is on blondemedicine.com. Your podcast, yes. Broccoli and Ice Cream, as well as The Faucet. Gonna say right there, pretty dope podcast names.
Thank you.
Yes. Your Amazon special, which everybody can see, is Small Dork and Handsome.
I love that.
Been doing stand-up all over the country, as well as all social media with @Myq Kaplan. I kind of fucked up when I said that, but it's @MyQKAPLAN. And welcome to Can You Laugh About It Now? It's Mr. Myq Kaplan.
Hey.
Dude, that was a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. That was, I mean, is that all our time? That's great.
You know
Thank
what?
You
We
so
got
much.
to your credentials. Appreciate you coming along, sir. We've never had somebody with so many credentials, so I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So this is a big deal for us, man. This is a big deal for us.
I really appreciate it. We can laugh about it now.
Thank you, sir. So the theme we were talking about was travel horror stories this week, okay? But the thing that we like to do, Mr. Kaplan, is we like to ask our guests about their possible experience with our last theme. Our last theme, we had celebrity photographer Good News on, and it was about weddings gone wrong or rememberable for the wrong reasons. So I would like to ask you, Mr. Myq Kaplan, do you have a wedding story or bachelorette off the top of your head that you can think of that strikes home?
Sure. The first one I can think of is that I'm divorced, so I feel like,
Shit.
I mean, technically speaking, my wedding is one that ultimately didn't go.
Can you laugh about it now?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm very happy with, like, I'm happy that I'm divorced. I'm happy that I'm, and that was, over a decade ago.
Okay.
About 15 years ago, I've been divorced. And I love my girlfriend that I live with now. And had I not had the experiences I had then, I think it'll be very informative moving forward for potential future wedding planning. I mean, I was a child. I got married when I was 25. What if I was a child? I got married when I was 4. And
and she was 43.
Yeah, and so that felt a little imbalanced, but now I'm 43, and
okay, let's stop it.
I guess 80. She's 82, so 39 years older. So here's one experience I remember from the wedding that felt kind of like trouble at the time, and now does seem laughably so.
Are we talking a warning sign? Possibly. This is what we're saying. You thought there was a warning sign, a red sign, a red flag.
Not even. No, I would say I didn't. When I got married, it wasn't like I cared about. I loved the woman. I still care about her. She's a decent human being, a kind person. We're not compatible, so it's not that there was like there were no.
You're saying all the right things.
Yeah, no red flags. We'd only been together. We got engaged we've been together less than a year.
That's the
red flag. There you go. That's, that was the color of the wedding.
The red flag wedding.
The red flag wedding. Yeah.
But there was just one moment in the ceremony, or I guess it was at the reception, where we didn't really have a classic, I didn't have a best man. She didn't specifically. Maybe she had a maid of honor. We didn't really do a formalized thing. But the woman who was her best friend at the time, who sort of did the equivalent of the person closest to the spouse getting married speech. Yeah. I'm a comedian, and also my then wife and her friend were also comedians.
Red flag.
The speech was funny. And also, it was about things like my partner smoking pot and being bisexual, and very, very normal. I mean, things that I think are required to be and do today.
I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah,
sounds like a great speech.
But at the time, it was excellent. At the time, I remember like my family in particular, they're a little more straight laced, and so I feel like my grandmother was like, "Are these things true?" And I was like, "No, they're comedians. Everything's made up." You know how comedians just make things up. They don't speak truth to power.
Comedians say they're bisexual, Mom. Grandma,
yeah,
they're all bisexual. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is it was a fun fine day. It was kind of a stressful day. I don't know if you've been married or to your own wedding, but that I think all the other weddings that I've been to since then have been delightful.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. That's
awesome.
So did you have a bachelor party for this? Did you have a shindig?
So I had like 3 or 4 buddies who were like, "We're gonna take you out," and like, I'm not like a big strip club guy. I'm a little strip club guy. I'm so small. So we didn't do anything like, I had just started doing comedy pretty recently, so we weren't gonna go to like a bachelor party to a comedy show. Actually, we were. I'm so sorry. We did try. It was like a Thursday night, and it was in Boston where we were living, and I remember. There was a cool comedy show called The Great and Secret Comedy Show, and it was every Thursday night. And I think maybe for whatever reason this week they were off. So I think we tried to go to that comedy show, failed.
Wow.
And I truly don't remember maybe the show did happen, but I don't remember exactly what happened other than my friend gave me an implement that one uses to like strip paint off of, like dried paint.
Scrapery type thing.
Yeah, and so exactly, a kind of a scraper, but he's like, this is to be used to strip paint off things. So he's like, technically, I got you a stripper. That's what my friend.
Pun gifts are pretty awesome. To be honest with you,
So that was my bad quote unquote bachelor party experience.
Wow,
wild.
That's great. That was a perfect little. That was the perfect intro.
No,
I feel like I know Myq a little bit more now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's probably the easiest stripper you could have handled.
Yes, that was a very easy stripper to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know like what your listenership is like, but I am a person who could look at a person taking their clothes off. I can handle that, but it's just not not one of my major go-tos. Like, I love the city of Portland, Oregon, the city that has, as I understand it, the highest number of strip clubs per capita and bookstores per capita, and I love bookstores.
Maybe there must be there's probably a lot of very smart strippers there then.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I can't confirm this, but I bet the information is out there somewhere that the percentage of people who work as exotic dancers, as strippers, as in strip clubs, I believe the percentage of people that are working their way through college or that end up with a degree is considerably higher than people who don't work in strip clubs. So if you want your kids to get an education, send them to a strip club.
That's
Put them in
real world
gymnastics
education.
early so they can do the good moves and make that student loan quick.
That's right. So the theme this week is travel horror stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a doozy.
I have a doozy. Okay. Would you like? I can lead us off this fine evening.
Yeah.
If you would like.
I think it. Yeah.
I'd like to take you back to not that long ago. Actually, we're talking January of last year. We're gonna even say New Year's Eve of 2021. This present day Todd. This isn't I usually talk about old day Todd.
Oh yeah, it's
You
a
know,
lot
like
of
druggy
1980s
Todd from back in
stories,
the
but
day,
this is
Michael Jackson Todd.
This is reformed Todd.
This is reformed, just like straight up. I was probably wearing this shirt we're wearing right now, not that long ago. My birthing partner. Okay, she wanted to go on a vacation, so she wanted to go to the Outer Banks. Which Outer Banks is great. Mm-hmm. She wanted to go there in January, which is complete off season for Outer Banks because it's cheaper. We're poor. Awesome. That's fine for me. We're getting ready to leave. And as we're about to go, she gets COVID over Christmas.
I remember this.
You remember this, right? She
It was
gets
a great
COVID.
present.
And I'm like, well, I don't really think it's a good idea. We probably shouldn't go. She's like, but, and that gets a little thick, that conversation. There's a lot there. You know what I mean? A lot of tension. But needless to say, I'm like, well, I don't think we should go because you got COVID. And she's like, well, she wanted to go anyways. I'll wear a mask. Until you test negative, especially,
You got a kid too.
got a kid.
Yeah.
And you don't teach the child to try to skate stuff like that
Right.
when people are dying.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that, so it's a very serious thing to me. And vacation, it is, but it's not that serious. Anyway, so finally she tests negative, dude. We're like, we're going to Outer Banks. It's going to be great. We're going to that. It's going to be so nice. And we are about to leave to get on the plane to go to the Outer Banks, and it starts snowing here. We're in upstate New York, Rochester near Buffalo, and it just starts getting hammered with snow so bad. Our stuff is packed. They canceled our flight. Okay.
Great start.
Canceled our flight. Now we got COVID, girl. We got flight canceled and everything. I'm like, look, you know what? I'm not saying signs, God, whatever. You know what I mean? But right now, if I was to believe in that, there's a lot of things going against the grain of us leaving to go on this
Red
vacation.
flags.
This you know what? That's the name of this episode, Myq. It's red flags. There was a gazillion, I might say, red flags. So she's like, no, we're gonna go. Let's rent a car. I'm like, you want to rent a car instead of getting? She's like, yeah, because if we already had the B&B booked. So if we didn't get down there, we would have lost the money, blah, blah, blah. She's like, let's rent a car and just drive from Rochester, New York to down.
How much was
to
the
Evans.
Airbnb? Like, how much money was this over that you put yourself through this all?
Let me tell you something. That was the cheapest part of the whole vacation.
Okay. I was going to say.
That was the Airbnb was on off-season Outer Banks. Not too bad.
Like $150 a night.
Maybe a little bit more than
Yeah.
that. But, but it wasn't too bad. So I'm like, I don't really want to drive. It looks like I look at the maps. It looks like there's a storm coming. There's a reason the airplane got canceled, and that's because there's a storm coming. Okay. She's like, we're doing it. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, red flag and me not standing up for my own shit. But I tried to though, dude. I did try to say there's a storm that whatever. So we go to get the car. We start driving. I have I have a 21-year-old with me, Mr. Kaplan. I have a 21-year-old with me. I have an 18-year-old with me. I have a 13-year-old with me. We got a 7-year-old with us too. The 7-year-old is mine. The rest are.
And you're in like a minivan.
We're not. It's like a kind of a minivan. Yeah.
Okay.
A mini
like a
SUV
soccer mom
type of thing.
car.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as we're going, all of a sudden we were like, we see brake lights ahead, and it's snowing, not horribly snowing, and all of a sudden there's brake lights, and we're sitting there for like 15 minutes. We're sitting there for an hour. We're sitting there for 2 hours. We've sat there for like 3.5 hours, moving barely anything at this point. I look on Twitter, and now everybody's freaking out. This was on, I don't know, it was all over the news, okay? It was on I-90, I-85?
Yeah, 85.
I-85 heading south. We got to Virginia. They got a few inches of snow. Everything shut down.
They don't have plows.
Dude, I'm talking like we were stuck out there. People's gas started running out because they didn't plan for this.
You can't turn the car off. It's winter. It's cold.
It was like 32 hours stuck in a car with 4 kids and my birthing partner, dude. Right?
3 teenagers, a child, and your baby mama.
Yeah, now
that's
So at first, I'm chippery, dude. As comedians, we kind of I like stuff. I don't know if stuff like that. We were stuck. There's nothing else we could do. Let's have fun. They're all like, shut up, let me fucking sleep, dude. Come on. And so we're stuck there forever. I'm kind of trying to have fun. Next thing you know, I look on Twitter and there's people somebody died. It's getting serious. It's getting serious. It's somebody died. An old man was like, fuck this, I'm walking home. And the fucking dude ended up dying or something.
right.
So I look, and meanwhile, there's a dude that was that worked for Washington Post. That's I tweeted something, and he got a hold of me. So I had the Washington Post ended up getting a hold of me. So I'm walking around talking to people, trying to I'm on film.
You were national
I
news.
was national news is what I'm trying to tell you. All right, you might have some credentials, Mr. Kaplan.
Yeah.
But I was on a video on Washington Post, walking around like a lunatic, talking to people because I was bored on the thruway for 3 days. You know what? And I would love to say that's the end of the story. Oh, 3 days, then we finally got through it. That wasn't the end of the story. But I'm going to go quick because I want
You had to do a trip after that.
Yeah, well, we weren't even there yet. We finally got to Virginia. It was days through. One kid, when we got to Virginia to pick up the rental car, he bought a first class flight home. The 21-year-old was like, "Yo, you guys have a good one. Peace out."
Why did the rest not join him?
Because they don't have the money. They don't work. They're young, so they had to be stuck with us. So we get there, we're ready to get the rental car to go to the Outer Banks from Virginia, and they're like, "We can't give you the rental car. We're sorry." We're like, "What? Yeah, you didn't take the flight here, so therefore, because you didn't take the flight, we can't give you the rental car." So now we're stuck in Virginia. We still got to get to the Outer Banks, and they won't give us a rental car. So what do? We got to call Uber. So we called Uber, and it cost us like
Uber XL
$600 to drive to Outer Banks.
You took it down
Y'all
to
should have went home.
Yeah.
Look,
who's going to have a good time on this trip?
I'm trying to tell you. We ended up getting there, and we were there. While we were there, I broke my glasses. I couldn't see shit. And then we had to ask some like South Carolina dude named like George. He was like, "I'll give you all the ride. If you just give me like $250, I'll get you on down there. And you know what I mean? Just hang on tight, and we'll get there." And so finally, we get there. I want to cry. Dude, we get on the flight. We're ready to go home. There's Rochester. We get to Virginia, and we get to Rochester, DC to Rochester. I could see Rochester, and we hear the captain come on and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to do this to you, but we have to turn around and go back to DC." He's like, "There's ice. I didn't plan for this much ice on the wing, and just to be safe, we're turning around and we're gonna head back to DC." So we had to go back to DC.
Solid pilot voice, by the way.
Thank you. I lied about everything. I just really wanted to do the pilot voice. So we finally get there. We get back. Everybody's fighting for the tiny little plane to get from there to Rochester. And finally, after that, like we hate it. I haven't talked to. She was Kristen before this. Now she's birthing partner.
You say baby mama. It sounds like she held your hand while you birthed the baby out your
I'm
dick.
not culturally appropriating here. I'm not doing that. I like birthing partner sounds a little more up my alley. I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question? Maybe I missed this part of it, but to get from Rochester to the traffic jam, what car were you in then?
Okay, so we rented, and it's because the airplane got canceled. The flight got canceled because of the weather here. Kristen was like, "Yo, let's just rent a car and drive down to get our other rental car."
But it was like an SUV, you said, right?
Yeah, it was like a mini SUV type thing. Yeah, so we rented a car to go get our rental car, but they wouldn't give us the other rental car because you need a flight to get there. So then we're stuck there. We have to, so it was what I'm saying. It was a disaster, is what I'm saying. It was a disaster. It
Sounds
really,
like it.
Dude, it was a nightmare, to be honest with you.
I'm stressed out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so crazy. I was broke when I came home. I was so sad.
You're never going on vacation
Dude,
again.
I was like, it's not worth. Vacation stinks.
Yeah.
I was like,
Todd, I have another just quick question.
Yes, sir.
For you about it. Can you laugh about it now?
I think so. It's very intense, and there's a lot of emotions involved because you're talking about like my baby mama. But I think so.
See,
overall,
I switched them.
Overall, I think so. You know what I mean? It was quite an experience, but I can't laugh about it now.
That's good.
It was very intense. And you know what? Like I said, this was just like a few months ago.
Right.
That's a travel story from hell.
I can't believe that you held your pee for 32 hours.
Yeah. Well, you know what, man? I have very large testicles. I don't usually talk about that on the
All
podcast.
the pee is stored.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe you keep your pee in testicles. But yeah, that's
I don't.
Todd's an anomaly, man. He's really out there. You gotta
I'm
get
like
to
a
know
camel,
him.
right? Isn't that like?
Kinda.
and I would recommend, I like birthing partner, but how about birthing mama or baby partner?
Oh, baby partner.
Baby partner.
Nah, I don't. Baby partner, creepy a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like your first marriage.
Yeah. So birthing mama.
Birthing mama.
Say what you want.
Fucking whore. No, I'm only kidding. Don't
say that. God damn.
I'm kidding. No, we love each other very much. I joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I joke.
She gonna listen to this podcast and be like, that motherfucker.
No, I joke. She knows.
I know she won't listen to this shit.
Listen, that was.
I mean, motherfucker might be the appropriate term for.
Baby mama fucker. No,
Probably not the way to say it in front of your
The fuck
kid,
mother.
but
That's what you call her.
Listen, there was a
Mama
lot.
Fuku, yeah.
Mama Fuku. That's right. That's
The
actually
whole-
right.
let's let Gator go because we always let her go last.
Do we want the guest to go first?
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah, we can do whatever you want. I was just saying.
I'm not
I don't want
going
you going
last,
last
though.
again.
No, you know what, Mike? Do you feel comfortable with your tale?
I'm very comfortable.
I love it.
I'm having a great time. I would love for Gator to go next.
Look, he's being very.
It's cordial.
Dude, I love it. Thank you.
Can you tell me where did the name Gator come from?
I got drunk at a party, and I usually knew everybody at this place, and I didn't know a bunch of people, and people kept coming up to me, and they'd be like, "You're so funny. What's your name?" And I was like, "My name's Sherelle, but you can call me Gator." And then people started calling me Gator, and I was like blackout drunk, so I didn't even remember it. And so it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks, of people be like, Gator, Gator. And I was like, everywhere I go, somebody's like Gator. And I turned around, I was like, they're talking to me. Prior to Gator, my nickname was Turtle. I did not give myself
Wow, there's
that
a
one.
lot of reptilian names going on here. That's cool, though.
Yes.
Yeah, Gecko. What's up? All right.
Were you real into animals growing up? Was it subconscious?
I'm
you
still
think?
into animals now. I don't like fuck them or nothing, but I love every animal.
Thank you for making the distinction.
Yeah,
'cause
This is
that's what I was-
going on the internet. You got to make sure in quick succession you say
Yeah.
everything you need to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. What's your travel? You got to travel?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Oh no.
I was fucking an alligator.
Yeah, that's actually where I got the name. Bit my left tit off. This is a prosthetic. But no, I was a child. This was pre-Gator. Pre-big titties, too.
God, I hope so.
Actually, no, I've actually been like this big since 8th grade. It was awkward. Anyway, I was about 13 years old. This is about the first time I went to Disneyland.
Florida.
Which one's in
one.
Florida?
Yeah, World.
Disney World. So I went.
The more anti-Semitic one, I think, is the one you went to. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I don't know what. Okay. Todd, let me focus.
Sorry.
All right. So I have, for backstory, I have a younger sister. She's like a year and a half younger than me. We were also there with our younger cousin. And then I had 2 like toddler-sized brothers. And we went with my dad and my stepmom. And we drove from Connecticut in this big old SUV that fit like 9-10 people. And we drove down to Florida. And we watched the Aristocats.
Your parents let you watch
as
that
it takes
movie?
from between Connecticut to Florida. We watched it like probably 5-6 times because my little brothers, it was the only thing that would shut them up.
Just to be clear, not the movie about the joke.
The Aristocrats.
Oh, not the Bob Saget
This
one.
is the
Not the Bob
Aristocats.
Saget
It's a
one.
Disney movie
Yeah.
where the kitties sing and it's very
We
cute.
we are Siamese, if you please, cats.
Oh,
That's
yes.
in
I
there.
was like, no wonder why your vacation went weird. Okay.
Please. I love that. I'm sorry. I told you
Oh,
I watched
yeah.
it like 85 times. Yeah, I got that shit on lock.
And then you did the Aristocrats on your vacation with your family.
That's what I did. So we're driving down there. It was whatever. It sucked. It was long. Kids. Terrifying. But we get down there and we go to Disney World or whatever. My parents keep the younger kids and then they're like, Sherelle, you're old enough. I was like 13, maybe 14, but I think I was like 13, maybe even 12. And they were like, you can take the other kids that are like around your age round. Here's a map. Meet us here at whatever time.
Oh, no.
So to preface this a little bit more, the one thing you don't want to do as a black child is show up fucking late to wherever they tell you to be.
Oh,
at least if you ever want to walk again. To be fair, my dad, I don't even remember my dad beating me, but he look at you like you the dumbest motherfucker he ever met, and somehow that hurts more.
That hurt your ass more.
Yeah, like it really hurt. So we go and we're like in Disney World. We go on a couple rides. We separate. We're having a great time. And out of nowhere, massive thunderstorm, like tsunami level thunderstorm,
Florida.
while we're on this like log ride or something. So we get off and I'm like, we got to get back to Dad. Mind you, when I was younger, my favorite movie was Twister. But I also thought that thunder was always indicative of a tornado, and that was like the worst storm I'd ever seen. So I was like, oh shit, it's about to be a tornado. We're all gonna die. We're not even gonna be with our parents. I was like terrified. So I'm running around with this paper fucking map as it's a tsunami downpour. The map just melts away in my hands. So
You're
I'm
stuck in Hollywood studios or something.
13 years old, got 2 kids younger than me, depending on me, freaking out, about to cry. No map, no cell phone. We
Umbrella?
take shelter in some weird like gift shop area. And I'm like, do you know where this is? Do you know where? And they're like, no, kid, I don't. And I'm like, does anyone have a map? And they're like, no, mine melted. And I'm like, God damn the rain.
You're like, Goofy, leave us alone right now. All right,
Yeah.
we are lost.
So
okay?
it was horrible. And I was just like getting ready to cry. And then finally the rain let up a little bit. And then we just wandered around. And it was probably about 45 minutes after we were supposed to meet up. And my dad cussed me the hell out. He was like, I told you when to be back. I was like, we were lost. We were going to die. There was a tornado. He did not give a shit. Like, honestly, it was my first time to Disney World. I think I was a little too old to enjoy it anyway. But like,
At 12?
not even like, I know a bitch that
12?
was like 35.
13 with the titties, though.
Oh, yeah, that puts you
And I'm like, I came out the womb like this, just a bitch. I don't
with
know
the
why.
head on backwards.
Nah, I couldn't get out that way. This came after. But yeah, that was a really shitty time. I've never been back to Florida. Their bugs are bigger than a bitch too. I wasn't a fan of that. The tornado weather and the bugs.
So
I didn't like it.
So how was the rest of the trip? How long before you were able to have more like fun after that for the rest of the trip? Or was that the end of the trip?
I don't recall having fun, to be honest with you.
None. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the
Happiest place
Disney
on
World-
earth.
That doesn't sound like the happiest place on earth. That sounds like the saddest place on earth.
It was for
The
me.
most stressful place on earth, almost.
Do y'all think that the phrase "the happiest place on earth" might have been created by some sort of marketing people who are motivated to get people to come there and give them their money, and
You
then
think?
once you're there,
Man.
then they're like, you didn't read the asterisk, like happiest place for us taking your money. You know?
Yeah, maybe. I
It's
don't
in
know.
the
excuse
fine
me.
print. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I was just watching every Marvel movie while you said that. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh man.
Well,
but
Gator,
yeah,
you know
that
what?
was me in Florida.
We're gonna do a "Can You Laugh About It Now" vacation to
But that
Disney
is like
World.
a Florida thing though. Like they do just have thunderstorms for a half hour, like every few hours.
But
though.
it was so aggressive. I was like, yo, this is the apocalypse. Like, I was very scared
You
of
think with
weather
a name
and
like
butterflies
Gator?
as a child.
You would have been fine.
I thought you would have been fine in that water.
I feel like you should have survived.
I told you it was pre-Gator.
Still, I think it's in your blood. You liked animals.
If I may, you said it was a very large kind of tsunami, so it wasn't like a baby tsunami.
No.
Is that does that do anything for anyone? I don't know if it's close enough.
A birthing tsunami? Are you birthing Sunother? I
It
don't know.
birthed the fear of Florida in my heart, I'll tell you that.
It was like God's placenta being released.
ruptured over the log flume ride at Disney World.
Yes.
Covered in God's baby juices.
Yes.
Is that semen? I take all of that back. I didn't like any of what I just said.
No, I think it's God's vaginal secretions.
Okay.
God's,
Yeah, for sure.
He's definitely a woman. She's definitely a woman.
I think it's both. I think that they're both. I think
Yeah.
they're both.
Yeah.
If they're all encompassing. You can't just be a man or a woman. That's just too easy. It's all
God.
of it. Dude,
You're everything. You're a
everything.
tree. You're a blade of
You're a-
grass.
that's-
You're a
We're getting
turd.
deep.
That's right.
I
You're a
like it.
turtle.
Yes.
You're a-
that
you're a
transitions
gator.
to Gator.
You're a gay turtle. Yeah.
Dude, that's gay turtle. That's cute.
It's a better
No.
nickname.
You can
If
tell
you-
people that's what Gator is short for if you want to, but you don't
Gay
have to.
Turtle.
If you want to get booked on those shows Cindy gets on.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny. Like I was at a show with Gator, and remember we did that show. And they came up to me, and they're like, "You're like, I'm not a lesbian. I'm sorry." It was like 2 lesbian women talking to her. And they're like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "But your socks, your socks."
Oh yeah. Are you sure? Because I was in Rochester a couple months ago doing a show, and I love it there. And I was staying with my my friend Jasmine, who lives there with her wife, because she is. And my understanding was, I mean, everyone that I knew in Rochester was a
Yeah.
lesbian. So
Yes, I am actually. I am a lesbian. Yes. Why are you looking at me like that?
You know why.
Look, okay, I'll be quiet for like 2 minutes. Okay. 2
Is
minutes.
someone
okay?
making you a sandwich?
My girlfriend just returned home from outside where it was hot, saw me on this recording equipment,
Yes.
and gestured sadly to the air conditioning as if to be like, "Oh no, I want it, but I can't." And I'm like, "Oh no, baby!" With just a gesture, I was like, "Your comfort is much more important than these people." You know?
I agree.
You
I
are
mean,
correct, sir.
Yeah, just, so tell her there's room in there. Just
Yeah.
just tell her try not to sneeze
yeah.
or cough and whatever,
Oh, the microphone itself is the air conditioning is now on, and I think the microphone is directional enough that it's not gonna ruin your. I'm not gonna walk over to unless you want me to go over to the air conditioning as like a correspondent and be like, what do you think about this AC? Yeah.
That's what I feel like when I watch the news anyways. You know what I mean? Are we talking, all right. So maybe we should
let Mike get his story in.
I'd like Mike to go too.
I've actually got maybe a couple, but I'll start with one. And so I remember when when we discussed the theme in advance, I was like, oh yeah, I think the phrasing that I saw that was pain on a plane. And now I understand it's been, sort of broadened to include any kind of travel.
Oh, I got pain on a plane.
Yeah.
Damn, I wish I knew.
Here's the experience that I have, which I feel like is not comparable. I mean, on some level, like you have suffered more than I, and my suffering in this is more self-inflicted.
Okay.
Because
that can be worse sometimes.
I didn't. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, in my experience, it was challenging. But I was in a plane, and I forget where I was going. In part because it was a while ago, but I had only recently started. I didn't really smoke a lot of pot. I didn't smoke anything until I was like 23, 24. That same aforementioned previous wife was I won't say a bad or good, just an influence. And so I tried, and it was never for me.
Such a nice way to say bad influence, by the way.
It was an influence. So recently, where I am now in my life, I do enjoy an edible here and there, and I've learned like what strains make me fall asleep, which is all of them. And they're like, oh, this is the one where you're in the couch, and this is the one where you're asleep on your feet. And but now I enjoy it at home at night, But at this point in my life, in this story, pre-pandemic, several years before probably, I had an edible. I don't know what was in it. I didn't know how many milligrams. I was just like, but I think, I feel like I did. I feel like I had done mushrooms before getting on a flight once, and that was like an enjoyable experience. I might be making that. I don't know why. That's probably not even true. But the point is, I was like,
it seems
I don't know. I was on shrooms. Like,
yeah. It seems like a friend told you they had fun on it once, and like you remembered it. It's like, yeah, you know what? Because it doesn't sound like a great idea to me, to be honest with you.
No. I also don't recommend. I like nature. I like a comfortable seat. Not surrounded by strangers in the sky.
Right.
Like, hey, can you work the emergency? I'm like, everything's at the emergency door right now to me, and. But for whatever reason, I'd been like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. But at the time, sometimes if I was like bumped up to first class, I'd be like, oh yeah, alcohol in the sky, where I guess the elevation or whatever it is, the air pressure, whatever it is contributes to alcohol hits you harder. And I would just like fall asleep. And I was like, well, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to fall asleep on this flight. I want to engage, because I think I had been bumped up to first class on this. I was flying a lot at the time.
You don't want to fall. You want to enjoy first class. You don't want to fall asleep.
And so, but for whatever reason, and I had these edibles, and maybe, let's say I'm constructing this, but maybe I didn't want to fly with them, but I didn't want to lose them.
Gotta eat them all,
maybe I was flying home. So I ate some, and and I'd never done that before. And but
so
psychedelics,
this is the first time like going out. He's like, I've never eaten this much, and you're going on a flight.
Yeah, and I'm like I think we're all scientists of ourselves,
I believe so.
Investigative journalists of our own experience, and so
I like that a lot.
Oh, thank you. Previously, like I've since I was 25, I'm 43 now. I can't tell you how many mushroom trips I've experienced, and not that they're all 100% like would love to be in that state all the time, but almost always a learning experience. Things like funny things, philosophical things, valuable things, communal, connecting with people and the world things, and when under the influence of mushrooms, I'll always have my digital recorder that I have right here that I like record jokes in and like journal entries and stories and just ideas.
It's worked.
And whenever,
It's worked. It's worked.
Whenever
so far.
Exactly. Whenever I have it during a mushroom trip, like part of my, part of like the challenge for me is in between remaining in the moment, like in the flow of things, just like enjoying the sensation of my body and consciousness and what's going on. Being, exactly. And then every once in a while, I would have like a thought that I'm like, well, I surely want to capture this so that later me can have the benefit of like, because there could be like 60 of them. There could be like too many for me to remember all of them. So like the present versus future dichotomy is, a constant like refrain, in those situations.
I understand what you mean.
And whereas pot, that's not been my experience. Like I'd never had but I was like, maybe an edible on a plane situation will be different. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea, but here's what I'm gonna do.
Edibles aren't reefer, is it? Like
But I ate a weed edible. I got on the plane. As it started to kick in, I had my digital recorder and I had a notebook. But I surely was using the digital recorder for a lot, at least some of the flight, because I remember like saying things like I was leaning into the window, speaking into this electronic device, saying things like, I think that the interaction I just had with the flight attendant went well. I'm pretty sure that they didn't suspect anything. I don't know about the person sitting right next to me who maybe can hear my voice because I'm speaking out loud, but I'm pretty sure that I'm doing okay.
Oh my God.
Nobody here thinks I'm weird.
So maybe I switched to writing things down to be like, okay, now I hope they're not looking at what I'm saying, but that's on them more than me, like for sight versus sound.
Yeah, right.
The differential between how mushrooms like impact me creatively and how weed edibles do is on mushrooms, I've so many ideas that I'm like, this is a good idea. Even if later I'm like, I don't know. But, it feels worthwhile. It feels
in the
resonant.
moment, yeah.
Whereas on that plane, on that weed edible, I feel like every thought I had no idea whether it was a worthwhile thought. And so my conclusion was the best thing to do is, well, then write down every thought that you have and let God sort it out. And by God, I mean me later. I was like, here's one of the most memorable experiences I had in that moment. Please go ahead.
I remember what you were saying, but I just wanted to ask, do you remember any of the things you were writing down?
Yes, here is exactly the one that I remember most, which is the exact thing that I was about to say, which is funny. A buddy of mine, Zach Sherwin, very funny comedian, he and I were on tour years ago. This is an interlude. And we were traveling and we were having a good time. So I'm sorry it's not on brand for this episode. But we had a great time. But here's one moment. He was on stage and he had just... Oh yeah, he had just realized this is like a thing. He was telling a joke that was. He's like, this is a silly thing, but I forget the exact combination, but he was like, these two impressions add up to another impression. He's like, if you want to do this guy, do a combo of these two guys.
Sure.
And if I remember correctly, the three people were Montgomery Burns from The Simpsons. And maybe mixed with Bob Dylan gives you Tom Petty. And so whatever it is.
I can hear it already.
Yes. So, wonderful.
I like
and
this game.
So Zach was on stage and he said to the people, he said, so I realized that if you do these two combined, then it ends up sounding like this. And as he's about to do it, someone in the audience yells out, what would it sound like? And he's like, what do you think I'm doing here? You think, and good night, everybody. And so that I know that this is a different situation, but then you didn't know. And this is we're having a fun time. But also from my perspective, I'm like, so one of the experiences that I remember from this trip, Todd's like, now let me just jump in real quick. Remember what you were going to say, but do you remember anything that you wrote down? And I'm like, Todd, I'm glad that you asked. Let me continue as if you hadn't.
You know what? That took 4 minutes to get there, okay? And
it's definitely a thing, man. You've been probably the best to handle it so far, so thank you.
You know what? Touche, and it's all you, man. It's all.
I appreciate it.
I'm on a 2-minute break again. Go ahead.
So I remember writing down in the context of, I don't know if any of this is worth writing down. I'm writing things like, I don't know if this is worth writing down. Future me, older, wiser me. Like, I'm an only child, but you, future me, are one of the closest things that I have to a big brother, to an older brother, to a wiser, to a person who's been there. You're one of the only people who's experienced exactly what I'm experiencing, because you're future me who's had my experience and the experience of being sober after the fact. So I leave this to you, future me. Should I have done this? And the answer is
thing I've ever heard.
I now, when I go on, I think I have in the future, from that point, maybe done an edible on a plane once. Or a couple, but I do it when it's like a red eye and I want to go to sleep, or when I want to zone out, because that's the thing, like psychedelics zone me in, weed zones me out. And so the experience that I was putting myself through was this kind of grueling, because when I'm under the influence of pot, my mind just like sort of like dissipates. But I was like, no, hold it together to try and figure out, like, here's maybe a weird analogy, but my mom dates, and a date that she was on months and months ago, maybe last year, the year before, she told me she went on a date with this guy.
Good.
What's that?
Go mom, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's got a boyfriend now, but at the time she was single, dating a fair amount, and she met a guy who she told me talked too much, talked aggressively, and my mom and I, we both are of the same ilk.
Is this going to go on another 3 minutes about talking about me?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The punchline here won't be that Todd is bad.
Thank you.
So in this situation, my mom the thing that she said that really stuck with me. She said, I wish that he would have been like less aggressive talk-wise, so that I could have gotten to know who he really is. And I was like, fascinating that you think that this is not who he's showing you to be, is not who he really is.
Right.
And
There's
so
something
that's
the
what,
surface.
when I was under the influence of weed, I now understand a better way to be on a weed edible than to be like, hey, why don't I try to figure out the best way to be on this edible by keeping copious notes. And then the results, the conclusion of the experiment turns out to have been, don't do this experiment anymore. Good to do once.
But that's a worthwhile result. Like, now you know not to repeat the experiment. That is.
Absolutely, I did. And so that's one. It's fun. As you were telling your story about getting stuck in traffic and somebody for 32 hours and somebody died and there's a tsunami and you're worried about your father leaving you or disowning you or beating you or something. And I'm like, one time I took too much weed in the wrong place. And then, but then my second story is one time I was driving in a snowstorm and I was going the speed limit, but that was not the thing to do in an ice storm. I was like, but the rule is you can go 65.
Yes. That's right.
And I'm going 65. Also probably on 87, the New York Thruway. I was doing a college gig. I was coming home from a college gig. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful I got home.
This must be a heavy duty story.
Oh, it's just I was driving and everyone else was going a more reasonable speed, and then I hit a patch of ice and my car spun all the way around. Like I can't imagine what it's like for the people that drove by me as I'm in this 360-degree spin that ended me, spinning me off. I'm glad nobody hit me. I'm glad everybody else was being careful. But, I'm sure there were people going by being like, well, you ever just see a car on fire and you're like, that's a bad day for somebody.
Yeah.
And so I was the opposite of that, not a car on fire, but a car on ice. And then I ended up, in a snowdrift. And thankfully, a truck came along and was like, do you want me to pull you out? And I was like, I think so.
Wow.
And I was okay. One time I also fell asleep at the wheel. Actually,
Me
a couple
too.
times. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't recommend.
I drifted across a lane of traffic and went under a guide rail and almost fell into a river. And that's my biggest fear in life is my car going into water.
That's very scary. I gave a driver a nitrous balloon once coming back from an Allman Brothers show, and he passed out, and we totaled the car, and I fucked up my teeth. But yeah. That was a dumb move, too. Never give the driver a nitrous balloon.
And then you probably had to go to the dentist to fix your fucked up teeth.
I
and
did.
He's like, do you want me to give you nitrous?
It's funny you say that. He actually gave me Percocets, which is what got me addicted to opiates. I can laugh about it
all
now.
comes back, man. That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm not for your history.
Well, it all ties around,
Yeah.
Do of the times, the first time I fell asleep at the wheel, I was 17. I'd only been driving for less than a year. I was in Connecticut, 2-3 in the morning, driving back to the summer camp I was working at from the girls' home who I was seeing at the time. And I just, your head goes down a little, and you're like, oh God, oh boy, that's
right.
Okay. Well, thank goodness I'm wide awake now. And then, moments later, however, I was in a telephone pole and car totaled. Thankfully, totally fine. Have talked about it in my comedy. I can certainly make other people laugh about it now. But then one other time, I must have been also very in a younger. I was probably in my 20s, and I was either going to or from somewhere in New England, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. I think I was on 95 in Rhode Island maybe, and then. I don't remember. What I remember is I was on the highway, and then I remember I had taken an exit, and I truly did not have any memory of but clearly my eye, do you know the comedian Jesse Joyce? He is a super funny dude who told me this story from before he got sober, that one day he had he was on the road and he had a show maybe Saturday night in one town and Sunday night 9 hours away. And he drank a lot Saturday night and, blacked out and woke up on Sunday at 5 p.m. and he's like, oh no, last night I was 9 hours away. I don't think there's any way I can get to where I'm supposed to go. Then looks around the room and he's like, I don't recognize this room. He had driven the 9 hours in his blacked out state. And so
that's a real alcohol. Shout out to that's a real
Jesse Joyce, man.
I haven't drank in 15 years, and that's a real I've heard some real alky stories.
That's legit. That's 9 hours.
That's a real one.
State lines.
Yeah. For me, maybe I'm addicted to sleepahol. I'm a sleepaholic, and because in my version of that, much smaller, I was only, I only lost a few minutes, however long, because I was only a mile from the highway. But I was shocked and very grateful that I was still my eyes clearly paid attention, my body knew how to drive the car.
Right. It was muscle memory.
Then I was like, hoo boy. So,
Yeah, that is so scary. I've been that drunk where you look at, like, I have flashes of the drive home where I'm like, holy shit, was that me driving? It seems like a movie. Somebody played a movie where I was driving home and it was like a very shitty movie.
But it's like that blackout sequence where like you're coming to in certain points and it's blurry.
I think what we're trying to say is don't do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't do that. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
now
You'll get addicted to opiates.
if I'm driving late at night, like now, often when I'm traveling, my girlfriend is with me and we talk and sing and stay awake. And we actually drove all the way from North Florida to New York where I live, like 18 plus hours in one stretch.
Good
just
for
a few
you.
months back. And at the end of it, we were getting in it. We left it at like 8 a.m. We were getting in at like 2 a.m. Not a unreasonable time to be awake, but we were tired. She was asleep by the end of it, but I was on the phone with a good friend of mine. And so I now know, like, I'm happy to pull over and get a room for the night, or at least take a nap for 20-30 minutes. But here's one scary thing that's totally fine is I remember one time I was in my car and I woke up and there was just a building in front of me and I forgot that I'd pulled into a rest stop and like got to a parking spot, took a nap for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, the building is coming right. Oh, nope, it's standing still and I'm standing still. That's the opposite of a travel woe.
Yeah. Stationary woe.
So no drinking for you anymore then?
That's right.
Yeah, well, that sounds like it was a smart choice. I mean,
just psychedelics and weed edibles without keeping track of them. Yeah,
that's right.
That's wild.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I've given up clipboards. Yeah,
the most dangerous drug of all.
That's right. That's right. Mr. RJ Purpura.
Yeah. Honestly,
how you doing, RJ? I just want to check in with you real quick.
I'm much better. I was freaking out earlier about the technical issues. I'm sorry about that. I got pretty bad. Yes, but I'm good
anxiety,
now.
So
I'm good.
I've been chilling the whole time.
Look, he's been super nice to you guys.
Yeah, no, you've been super polite about this whole thing, man. So thank you. But honestly, your story about spinning out got me thinking. It was a couple years, or actually, it was about 7 years ago. I was unemployed and I was on my way. Is this not working? I was on my way to a job interview, like 40 minutes away from where I was living, and I had just gotten my car back from the shop like 8 days ago, and that was like a minor accident, like I'd messed up my bumper or whatever. So I go to this job interview that I'm not qualified for, but I'm just applying to everything. So I can.
You're qualified for that interview. Yeah.
Oh, well, you're very kind.
Can you shake a hand?
I can shake a hand. I have
You're
trouble
nice
with
to meet. Yeah.
I have trouble with eye contact. But other than that, yeah. So I go to the interview, and it's for like a law firm. I've never worked in law. I've never had any interest in law, but I'm trying to apply everywhere.
Right off the bat, that's great.
I'm a little bit, yeah. So I go there and do the interview. I don't get the job. Whatever. Like I kind of expected that, but I'm at least trying to get hired somewhere. So I'm on the way home. I'm on the expressway. I'm on 490 West coming back home, and there's this car in front of me, and I've been behind him for like a few minutes at this point, and everything had been fine. And then out of nowhere, he spins out. So like his like back right tire, it doesn't like go flat, but he is suddenly perpendicular to me in the lane. So it means I'm going to make a T into him. Do you know what a T
not
is?
Not parallel.
Okay,
right.
All right. Thank you.
Very not parallel.
Like the first letter of your name. It looks like that is what I'm about to do to this car. So I go to the right-hand lane around him because I'm in the leftmost lane at this point. So I go to the middle lane to try to get around him. I didn't notice that there was an SUV coming. So the SUV smacks me into the guy that was spinning out, and I get sandwiched in the middle of these two cars. We go off to the side of the road. Long story short, I didn't get the job, and I totaled my car 8 days after I got out of the shop.
When you have no job, that's awful.
That was, just spinning out just absolutely made me think of that.
Well, if you
I'll
needed
never
a lawyer,
forget that.
it wasn't too far away if you wanted to try to sue the guy that hit you.
Oh, no, that was a year before. Trust me. I talked about a lawsuit I went through earlier, but yeah, that was a rough time for sure.
I hear you. And I understand, though, the job that you didn't get was also at a law firm. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and they could have helped, possibly.
If you spun the car all the way around back to the law firm, be like, so I'm going to need, I'm not going to work for you, but you're going to work for me.
You're going to work on contingency because I can't pay you unless you hire me. So,
Right.
yeah, that was pretty brutal. But yeah, that was definitely the thing that made me think of my past. So thank you for that.
Well,
I can laugh
all
about
these
it.
stories. We're all lucky.
Yeah,
is what
no,
I'm saying.
I got out of it alive and safe. So like my car got fucked, but like I was safe. So like it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, getting your car fucked up is bad
It
too, though. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're alive.
Yeah.
Here to tell it.
Right. And I can laugh.
That's the best part about it all.
Exactly.
And we're going to wrap up here in a minute. But before we wrap up, Mike, I have another question for you.
I'd love it.
If you think about your birthdays, you're in your 40s. I'm in my 40s. With a lot of birthdays. Can you think about the worst birthday, the most disappointing, like the one that was as a child or as an adult, you were like, this birthday kind of sucks.
That's a good question, and
Thank you.
I'm happy to.
bit.
Oh yeah, it's real good.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy and also in one way unhappy to report that like none immediately spring to mind. Like I can't remember every birthday,
Right.
but like for the last several years, at least for the last 6 years that I've been with my girlfriend, who I love a lot. Like we've always been together, I believe, on my birthday.
6 solid birthdays is what you're saying. The past 6.
Yeah, I believe so. And I mean, it's so interesting because this is the longest relationship I've been in that I can't even tell you exactly what we did on each of my. Usually on my birthday, I'll get together. I'll be like, "Hey friends, I'm gonna be at a place. Come to this place."
Sure.
Or, I know that last year we were in Chicago and I did a really fun show and we had a really nice dinner and 1 year maybe before the pandemic we went to Des Moines. I was performing at a comedy festival in Des Moines.
These sound like wonderful, great things. These are wonderful.
I'll say this. I mean,
What
when I
about the
turned
gift?
17.
Okay, here we go. This is what I'm saying. Maybe there was a gift when
Yeah.
you were a kid that you wanted or something like
He was
that.
17.
Oh, surely. You know, at some point I'll speak to that briefly, that when I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, like my parents would get me gifts. And I feel like at some point I was just like, you know, they would get me things that they thought I wanted, and maybe they were right sometimes,
Yeah.
but sometimes they get you things you're like, oh, I don't even know what this isn't, my thing. Or maybe you're wrong about what you want, and maybe desire itself is a trap, and maybe I just want to not want, at all. Maybe I just want, in inner peace and the end of suffering and increase of happiness for all sentient beings, as the Buddhists do. But at
That's
the time,
a great birthday present right there.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be great. Inner peace for all. Yeah, for sure. But at one point in my childhood, I think I was like, can you just give me the money that you would spend and then bring me somewhere and then I'll spend the money? And so kind of for most of my life now, like my parents are divorced, but they each give me some money and they often like will get me a different gift also. But yeah, so that I never really, I don't have a specific memory of getting
set
the
bar-
wrong thing.
Yeah, you set guidelines right away. You're like, look, I'm a child. I don't like these gifts. I'll take the cash.
Cash transactions only, ma. Like,
I am direct. I'll take Venmo. I didn't know at the time, but crypto if you've got it.
Not anymore.
So when I turned 17, that was I'd been going to a summer camp that was sort of like in my home school life. I wasn't homeschooled, but in my home and school life,
Right.
I didn't have like a lot of friends in high school. We had just moved. I was introverted and shy, but I had a lot of friends at summer camp. And it was my life at summer camp was sort of seeping into my life at home in that by senior year of high school, a lot of the kids who were bigger than me, and everyone was still bigger than me, but a lot of the kids who had scared me were gone. And now I'm like, oh, like this is fine. We're people. And I had a group of friends at school and I got a girlfriend at school for the first time.
Nice.
And I felt a little better. And I had all these summer camp friends and I was like, I could drive now. I had yet to
Senior
fall
year
asleep
sounds
at the wheel and crash that. Yeah, senior year was going
Sounds
pretty
awesome.
well. Yeah, I had just made out with a girl for the first time that past summer at
Mike.
summer camp.
See,
get it in.
that 17-year-old Mike so far sounds like he's having fun.
I was having a lot of fun, and so for my birthday that year, like because I lived with my mom, and she was, concerned about my, lack of socializing with other people throughout high school, but then, the way that she says, she's like, one day you came home from summer camp, you're like, I'm gonna go visit someone in Connecticut, I'm gonna go visit someone in Massachusetts, like I'm gonna visit my friends in New York City. I grew up in New Jersey, and I was like, for my senior year, I was like, can I have like a party at my home where like friends stay over, because a lot of my friends were from like different states because they were summer camp friends. So I had, like, I don't know, 10, 20 kids. And it was really nice. And there was a girl who I had met a few times. It's weird that this girl came to my party because I didn't really know, like, she was like a friend of friends.
Right. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but I mean, when you're a kid, that's how you meet. I feel like that's not totally unreasonable.
Oh yeah, it wasn't unreasonable. Like I'd previously, one of my best friends still, and at that time was a guy named Sam. He lived in the city,
Sam.
And I like,
What's up, Sam?
Thank you. Sam's wonderful. He at his home, sometimes I would go in and just hang out with him and his friends, and so that's where I met some of his friends. Some of them were also camp friends.
Yeah,
and so I was like, oh yeah, hey everyone, like come. And so I say it's weird to say because I don't normally call females girls, but at this time she was a girl, but like now she's a woman. Right. At the time in the story, this 17-year-old girl, who I thought was cute and had a crush on. Like she's one of the people that was there.
You're telling me you think a 17-year-old's cute? Is that what you're going to tell me?
Whoa! 17-year-old me.
I'm following.
I'm just putting. I learned from Gator. Yeah, put it all in there. 17-year-old recognize 17-year-old. 17-year-old game recognize game. Okay, so. So everyone kind of we had like not a big home. It was like a 2-story condo, like my room and my mom's room up top and the living room. So most people are sort of like camped out on the living room floor, my bedroom floor. I am up, me and this girl, we're up late, later than everybody. And we go to the basement where like my old childhood bed is. And we're like, truly at this point, I had literally only kissed, I'd never done anything other than like kiss
you were a first base guy.
Girls. Yeah, I was very, very comfortable on that base.
Right.
And so that's pretty, and actually this girl was like, I actually have a boyfriend, so we can do anything except kiss. And I was like, well then we can't do anything. But we kind of, we just like laid in this.
You canoodle.
We Jenga?
Well, what else is there?
She was like it's kind of like
pretty
women rules.
Paper, scissors, rock.
Yeah. No kissing on the lips. But like there was truly like the most G-rated, non-makeout, but romantic-ish session
pecking
of my life. But
pecking. What do you do?
No.
Petting.
Like I would. I mean, petting, like kissing. I kissed her shoulder. Whatever it was. So anyway, cut to. We fell asleep. All my stories about falling asleep. We fell asleep. Another fall asleep disaster. That's all I do. And
I think you may need iron, dude. I mean,
cut to the morning, and my mom's coming down the stairs and sees me, in this bed with this young lady, and I. And it's weird because I was like a good kid. I didn't get in lots of trouble. So there wasn't even really a paradigm for like, what this means. Like my mom, I feel like we'd never really even had a sex talk that much. But she was kind of just like, not in my house. And I'm like, no, nothing happened in your house. We were just truly like, she has a boyfriend. I'm not even allowed to kiss her. We were just here. Like if we were in a different room, but at the time, it felt really bad that I disappointed my mom, even though it felt like it was under false pretenses.
You should have faked a seizure. That's what I did.
Oh, God, my mom busted me once.
Oh, yeah?
She did that. Yeah, I was upstairs, and I was with a girlfriend of mine. It was a serious relationship. And, God, I remember she bought a can. We had a big candy cane, and we were being silly with it. Like one of those big, huge, like.
A candy cane?
Yeah, we were playing around with a big.
I know this story.
I may have. I love telling this. No, I'm only kidding. I don't know if I've ever told the story before, but I may have. And my mom came upstairs, and I was like, oh my God. And she had to grab something from the attic, because that's where my room was. And she was like, oh, I hope you're using a condom. Just walked and got something and walked out. I hope you're using a condom and walked out. That's pretty cool. Dude, that's a great mom. I also ended up a heroin addict. But
cool mom.
It's also the same kind of mother
don't
that
say
her son ends
anything.
up being addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
So.
I would rather just not say anything.
Yeah, we should.
Ooh, it
slide
sounds like
right
that's what we
off.
call a too cool mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been a great episode. I really appreciate you
thank
coming
you so
on
much for
and
your
talking
time.
with us, Myq. It's been awesome.
Oh,
Myq, I
it's
just want
been
to
a
throw
great pleasure.
So it's at my. You're basically you're at your name. It's Myq Kaplan. So anybody see this? Go check out Myq. Oh my God, you are an amazing person, and I thank you so much for coming, dude.
Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep in touch. We'll get back to Rochester so you can get over here.
I'd love to.
Get over here to the Carlson. We got a pretty dope club here to fucking.
I want to. I would be happy to do that.
And just before we let you go, Myq, is there anything that you want to plug before you say bye?
I think everything that
said in the
you
intro.
mentioned at the top, just cut that out, put it here, make that the whole episode, and we're all set.
Awesome.
I think I'd specifically, my albums are most of the places where albums are. And,
where do you get the most money from? How about that?
People can Venmo me at Myq Kaplan, however much money they want.
Myq Kaplan.
Venmo this
I
man.
take Cash App also,
That's right.
but truly, it's whatever streaming service you use. Like if you use Apple Music, then go on Apple Music and stream the albums
Just listen
there.
to it. Bottom line, go listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's awesome. And we'll keep in touch and see if we can get you something groovy here in Rochester, and so we can actually
that'd be
meet
amazing.
your beautiful face in person. You know what I mean?
I'd love it.
Me too.
Thanks
All right,
so
Mr.
much,
Myq
man.
Kaplan, thank you, sir. Have a great night, and thank you to Myq Kaplan's girlfriend for hanging out warm while
Enjoy
he's
the
doing
AC.
the podcast.
You got it. All right. Peace.
Have a
See you,
great
man.
day.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is RJ. Thank you for listening to episode 15 of Can You Laugh About It Now? We had our guest Myq Kaplan on, which was a big treat. He discussed a meticulously recorded airborne edible experience. Todd made national news on the thruway. Gator got caught on a classic Florida downpour at the happiest place on earth. And I totaled my car after a job interview that I did not get the job at. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you tell your friends to download, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.